Whether you're stuck in traffic, hitting the gym, or just winding down, we're here to spill the hottest tea from your favorite Bravo shows. From the wildest reunions to the quietest social media unfollows, we cover it all. So welcome back to a reality TV podcast and clip. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get into it on 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's unpack this because watching these shows is honestly exactly like watching a magic trick.
Oh, absolutely. You see the glitz, you see the perfectly timed arguments, the glamorous vacations, right?
Exactly, the seemingly effortless drama. But today, we're going backstage. We're going to examine the trapdoors, the hidden wires, and, well, what actually happens when that illusion completely breaks down. Right, because we are looking at a massive stack of updates today, and they all really center around one incredibly fascinating theme. It's the messy, often devastating collision of so-called reality television and actual unscripted real life.
It's a profound collision, and it's one we rarely get to see in high definition, honestly. We're going to decode how these individuals navigate the very real financial, legal, psychological, and interpersonal fallout when the cameras finally stop rolling.
Because the consequences of living your life for an audience, of turning your personal milestones into consumable content, they don't magically pause just because a production season has wrapped.
No, they don't. And whether you're, a casual viewer who just tunes in for the fashion and the one-liners, or a reality TV historian who keeps a detailed spreadsheet of cast alliances.
Guilty as charged.
Right. This deep dive is going to change how you watch these shows. We are exposing the real human cost of being a public spectacle.
Because sometimes the stakes jump from manufactured dinner party arguments to the actual justice system. I want to jump straight into the 90 Day Fiancé universe, specifically Eric Rosenbrook and Leda Margaretha.
Yeah.
Because the real-world consequences here are just staggering.
They really are.
Eric pleaded no contest to a charge of operating under the influence. Now, he avoided jail time, but he received a fine of $968, a 6-month license suspension, and a mandatory alcohol assessment.
And the context of this arrest is dark. It's really dark. Police actually responded to a domestic abuse call made by Leda, and that is when they found Eric in his car with the Cutwater lemon drop martini.
Which is awful on its own, but we really need to be objective and mindful here because the timeline gets so much heavier. Beyond the operating under the influence charge, there is a very real human tragedy that occurred.
Yes. We have to respectfully discuss the passing of their baby daughter, Elisa Eleanor. She passed away 5 days after being placed on life support following a domestic dispute.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. And the medical examiner actually ruled the infant's death as non-accidental.
Which is a completely devastating finding. And right now, the couple is actively battling that ruling by hiring their own private medical examiner to review the entire case.
It just forces you to pause. Behind the characters we dissect on social media, real, irreplaceable human lives are involved. The gravity of a lost infant is almost impossible to process.
It really is.
Especially within the context of a public platform built on entertainment. It just makes me wonder about the environment these families are existing in.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the reality television ecosystem acts as a massive, unforgiving amplifier. It doesn't necessarily create a human flaw or a tragedy, but it broadcasts it.
Right, it puts a magnifying glass on it.
Exactly. It creates a public feedback loop, and it often profoundly isolates the individuals involved. When a family is experiencing the darkest crisis of their lives, the parasocial relationship the public feels they have with these stars can make healing or finding privacy nearly impossible.
The infrastructure of reality TV is built to extract drama, not to provide a support system for absolute tragedy. It's a grim reality that the cameras don't protect you from real-world devastation.
Not at all.
But even when the stakes aren't life and death, the intersection of real-life crises and reality TV notoriety creates these incredibly complex traps. Take the financial paradox we're seeing right now with Denise Richards from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, this situation is fascinating.
Right. She just received a massive $1 million offer from an adult platform called XChatFans. The president of the company, Spike Irons, explicitly cited her massive success on OnlyFans and her ability to genuinely connect with audiences as the reason for the offer.
Which is a huge amount of money.
It is. But wait, here's where I want to push back a little. If she is being offered $1 million simply for being a famous, authentic presence online, is the reality TV ecosystem really a trap? I mean, it sounds like a massive financial lifeline, especially given what she's dealing with privately.
I see your point. It looks like a lifeline on paper, certainly, but you have to look at the entire financial ecosystem. The very notoriety that brings in $1 million offer is the exact same notoriety that inflates and complicates her private crises.
Oh, because of the divorce.
Exactly. Denise is in the middle of a highly contentious, messy divorce from Aaron Pfeiffer's. Because of her earning potential, which is public, a judge recently ordered her to pay $5,000 a month in temporary spousal support.
Wow.
And $30,000 toward his legal fees.
And we absolutely need to note that those legal fees she is paying do not apply to his criminal defense. Aaron is currently facing 4 felony charges, including domestic abuse and dissuading a witness by force or threat.
Right. He denies the charges, of course, but the financial strain this is putting on Denise is reportedly severe.
So while the platform offers $1 million, the reality TV spotlight means her divorce is public, her assets are scrutinized, and the legal battles become incredibly protracted.
The ecosystem demands you monetize your personal life, but in doing so, it makes untangling that personal life legally and financially ruinous.
We see that exact same synergy trap with Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker in the Real Housewives of Atlanta sphere. They are going through a divorce, and they just had to settle a massive legal battle with the former landlord of their restaurant, Blaze Steak and Seafood.
Yes, they agreed to pay over $140,000, specifically $140,509.10.
That is so specific.
It is. It's for rent and remediation costs. And Kandi has openly expressed deep regret over mixing her business ventures with her marriage.
It is the classic cautionary tale of the reality TV business model. When your personal life is your brand, merging your marriage and your business seems like, brilliant synergy for a television storyline.
It gives you a plot for the season. But when the relationship fractures, untangling those intertwined assets under the public gaze is a nightmare. Though, to their credit, the updates note they are handling the interpersonal side with remarkable maturity.
Yeah, they are successfully co-parenting and even sitting together at their sons' basketball games. So the financial ecosystem traps them when they try to build businesses. But what happens when that notoriety spills over into a highly regulated, traditional career?
You literally become unemployable.
Exactly. Let's look at Ciara Miller from Summer House. The updates reveal she was fired from her nursing job via email earlier in 2025. Her boss literally asked her, "Why are you here?"
Ouch.
Right. And they offered disciplinary action if she wanted to stay.
What's fascinating here is the absolute incompatibility of those two worlds. Nursing is a highly regulated clinical life-saving profession that demands extreme professionalism.
While Summer House is a show fundamentally built around uninhibited weekend partying, interpersonal conflict, and lowered inhibitions.
Exactly. Reality television forces stars to constantly negotiate the boundaries between entertainment and real life. And eventually, the traditional professional world just rejects the television persona.
It's like being punished for doing your job too well. But your job is literally just your personality. How do you separate your authentic self from the caricature, the producers, and the fans' demand?
Especially when your TV persona starts getting you fired from your real-world livelihood. You often don't, and that takes a profound psychological toll. You are constantly playing a heightened, louder version of yourself.
And for Ciara, the fallout hasn't just been professional, right? It's been deeply personal. We learned she has been on a mental health journey, taking proactive steps by going on Prozac.
And there was this incredibly touching detail where her mother noticed the medication was finally working.
Yeah, her mom noticed Ciara was finally getting out, taking walks, and getting tasks done. She eventually found herself thriving during a trip to Italy.
Which is such a grounded, real human moment that we rarely get to see on the show itself.
And what strikes me is that even while navigating her own mental health, she is carrying the burden of protecting others in the Bravo universe. She recently had to step up and defend Southern Charm's Venita Aspen against relentless fan microaggressions.
Yes. Ciara pointed out how incredibly difficult it is for Venita to be the only Black woman on a show set in the South, having to deal with a cast and an audience that doesn't fully grasp those racial dynamics.
It perfectly illustrates the heavy, unseen burden placed on reality stars from marginalized backgrounds.
Yeah.
They are not just performing for the cameras.
They're drafted into being educators.
Exactly. Educators, advocates, and defenders of their own humanity against an audience that demands relentless entertainment. It is an exhausting position to be in.
And the producers definitely mold that entertainment by stripping away the humanity. Tamara Judge from The Real Housewives of Orange County and Dolores Catania from New Jersey recently opened up about their biggest regrets on television.
Oh, this was so telling. Tamara regrets doing too much. She admitted she was being extra just to make good television instead of showing who she truly is.
Which is the core dilemma of the veteran reality star. You are financially rewarded with screen time and contract renewals for bad behavior, for being the loudest in the room.
For the dramatic outbursts. Over time, that conditioning slowly erodes your authentic identity until you just become a caricature.
Meanwhile, Dolores regrets that producers actively cut out the moments she's actually proud of in her real life, like when she received the key to the city of Patterson from the mayor.
And it ended up on the cutting room floor. The producers don't want the civic achievements, they want the table flips.
It is a selective reality. The producers act as a highly calibrated filter. They remove the grounding, positive elements of a person's life to construct a narrative driven entirely by conflict.
Which leads us perfectly into how this filtering distorts human connection, specifically the reality TV dating carousel.
Let's look at how romantic history is essentially weaponized as narrative currency.
Oh, absolutely.
On Watch What Happens Live, Andy Cohen suggested to Southern Charm's Austin Kroll that he and Sally Carson were basically friends who hook up.
And Austin firmly denied it. He claimed they're strictly close friends, but he had to do so while fighting off his castmate, Madison LaCroix, who was leveling the exact same accusation. This is exactly how the machine operates. On these shows, who you have dated, who you are dating, and who you might theoretically date in the future are the primary drivers of the plot.
Your private intimacy is completely commodified for the group's entertainment. We saw it with Craig Conover, too.
Oh, right. When he flat out admitted to Charlie Manley that he would have picked her over his ex, Paige DeZorbo, if things had worked out differently.
And Charlie firmly friend-zoned him. But the fact that he is using his past relationship with Paige as leverage in a current interaction just shows how messy the web gets.
And if Southern Charm is a messy web, Love is Blind is a high-speed collision. The format inherently pressures participants into accelerated intimacy.
Accelerated intimacy and accelerated implosions. Look at the season 10 reunion bombshells.
Seriously, you have Debo Anderson, who proposed to Brittany Wicker despite the fact that his own grandmother was passing away during filming, and now he just announced he is expecting a baby with a brand new fiancée.
Then you have Amber and Jordan, who announced their divorce after just 4 months of marriage. The reasons: trust issues, and Jordan's desire to go out with the boys.
Though to be fair, Bree and Connor did announce they are back together, but the whiplash is insane.
It is the hothouse effect in action. The environment is artificially heated by the presence of cameras, isolation from the outside world, and the immense pressure to perform a love story for the audience.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. What happens when the participants refuse to play along with the hothouse effect? Look at Summer House. You have Dara Levitan, a newbie.
Right.
She dated Wes Wilson for 6 months about 3 years ago, so she was understandably incredibly anxious about joining a house with Ciara Miller, who is West's much more recent ex.
Is the classic producer setup. They introduce an ex into a confined space specifically to spark territorial conflict and jealousy. It is the algorithm of reality TV drama.
But they broke the algorithm. Instead of fighting over a guy, Dara and Ciara realized they had no logical reason to be weird about it. They actually hit it off.
They bonded and became close confidants.
So it makes me wonder, are reality shows actually toxic environments for forming relationships? Or do they just naturally attract people who are chaotic daters to begin with?
This raises an important question. It is a combination of both, really. But what happened with Dara and Ciara is crucial. When participants actively choose emotional maturity and genuine connection over screen time,
the producer's manufactured conflict simply evaporates.
Exactly. They essentially short-circuited the show's core operating system, leaving the producers with dead footage of a healthy friendship, which is not what they are paid to capture.
They chose reality over television. But, as we look at how these stars handle friendships, we have to talk about public relations, spin, and narrative control when alliances start to fracture.
Yes. Over in Beverly Hills, there is a massive game of telephone happening regarding Dorit Kemsley's spending habits during a trip to Italy.
The reality TV proxy war.
Exactly. Kyle Richards vehemently denies calling Bazoma St. John to gossip about Dorit's spending. Kyle claims Boz FaceTimed her and brought it up first.
But Bazoma maintains she just couldn't keep what Kyle said a secret from Dorit and Dorit. She firmly believes Kyle is intentionally planting these seeds behind the scenes to make her look bad to the rest of the group.
This is narrative control in its purest form. In the reality TV ecosystem, whoever defines the narrative first usually wins the audience's favor.
So Kyle, Bozoma, and DORIT are all hyper-aware of the cameras and the viewers. They aren't just having a disagreement, they're actively spinning the origins of this gossip to protect their own personal brands.
And to secure their standing for the next season, it makes you question if any of these alliances are genuine or if they are just strategic pacts.
Look at Harry Jowsey from Dancing with the Stars. He just made a huge revelation that he is actually glad he is no longer friends with the season 32 cast.
Right. When his dad died, which is a massive real-world loss, he was deeply hurt that only Sasha Farber bothered to text him.
He claims departed pros are treated like outcasts, and he bluntly stated that the cast aren't, quote, really real people.
This brings up the concept of situational friendships. Dancing with the Stars, much like a Bravo cast trip, is an intense, high-pressure bubble.
The cameras, the grueling physical competition, the constant fear of elimination. It acts as an incredibly strong bonding agent. You feel like you are at war together.
But the moment the season wraps or the moment you are eliminated, that bonding agent completely dissolves.
So what does this all mean for these on-screen alliances? Are any of them real, or are they just like trauma-bonded coworkers at a highly toxic corporate job?
They are almost exactly like trauma-bonded coworkers. For Harry Jowsey, stepping outside that television bubble and facing a profound, grounding, real-world loss exposed the deeply transactional nature of those relationships.
Once you're no longer useful to the television narrative or to the voting bloc, the isolation can be jarring. You assume you made lifelong friends, but you really just made temporary colleagues.
But the wild thing is, some people absolutely refuse to leave the bubble, even when it's toxic. Alexis Bellino just crashed the Real Housewives of Orange County Season 20 filming in Vegas.
Oh my gosh, yes. She showed up with Vicki Gunvalson and Tamra Judge, completely ignoring the severe fan backlash she has been facing regarding her treatment of Shannon Bedore.
And over on the East Coast, the Real Housewives of New York OGs are doing the exact same thing.
You've got Luanda Lesseps in a bikini, Kelly Benjamin and Dorinda Medley. They're filming an unofficial spinoff called The Golden Life down in Palm Beach. Notably, they're doing it entirely without Bethany Frankel or Jill Zarin.
If the industry won't give them a bubble, they will construct a brand new one themselves. For veteran stars, the reality television ecosystem, despite its toxicity and its financial traps.
And the immense psychological toll.
Right. It becomes their primary reality. It is where they derive their income, their cultural relevance, and ultimately their sense of self. The quiet of the real world is simply too deafening.
So why should you, the listener, care about all of this? Why does it matter who unfollowed who is crashing a filming event in Vegas, or who's paying $30,000 in legal fees?
Because reality television is ultimately a mirror. It reflects our own societal obsessions with wealth, with justice, with manufactured drama, and with human connection.
Exactly. When you look at Eric's legal and personal tragedies, or Denise's financial strain, or Ciara losing her nursing career because her boss didn't like her TV persona, it forces us to ask a difficult question. What exactly are we demanding of the people on our screens?
We demand absolute authenticity, but we only financially reward caricature. We want to see real lives, but we prefer the sanitized, highly edited version of reality that neatly resolves in 45 minutes.
You're asking them to bleed for our entertainment, but we judge them when the scars don't heal perfectly. Which brings us to a final lingering thought for you to take away today.
If Tamra Judge actively regrets being a caricature for the cameras,
if Ciara gets fired from her real-life passion just to exist on TV,
and if the Dancing with the Stars cast treats former friends like absolute outcasts the second the production lights turn off,
will the future of reality TV eventually be entirely AI-generated avatars? I mean, after all, actual breathing human beings keep breaking under the immense crushing pressure of having to constantly perform their reality for us. Keep that in mind the next time you press play.